Hello and welcome to another edition of Focus on Morris County. I'm Joe Garifo, Public Information Officer for the Morris County Government. Focus on Morris County is a program that's designed to keep us up to date on the actions that are being taken by the Morris County Board of Freeholders. And the show is also intended to make us all more aware of the many facets of Morris County government. Now, in this segment of the program, we are going to focus our attention on the office of the Morris County Clerk. And here to give us some examples of the functions of that particular office is Morris County's Clerk, Ann Grossi. Ann Grossi is a former Morris County freeholder. She's a former member of the Parsippany Township Council, and she has been serving in the position of County Clerk since January 2014. Ann, welcome to the program.
Thank you. My pleasure to be here.
The office of the county clerk is known as a constitutional officer. It's a elected position, 5-year term. But what do we mean by a constitutional officer?
Well, the county clerk's office was actually established in 1739. It's 275 years old, and I am the 29th county clerk in Morris County, and only the second female. Up until 1947, when they had a constitutional amendment, they actually wrote the office of the county clerk into the Constitution of the state of New Jersey. So we report, I'm only one of 3 constitutional officers, but I report directly to the people of Morris County. I do not report to the freeholders or the business administrator, and I am actually the appointing authority for my office. So when you say constitutional officer, that's what it means. We're actually in the Constitution of the state of New Jersey.
The office of the county clerk is involved in a number of different and varied areas, ranging from elections to passports to the recording of property records. Let's take a look at the election process first. What are some of the areas in the election process that the county clerk is responsible for?
Well, the county clerk is responsible for the ballot, printing the ballot, and people don't realize what goes into that because we have 39 towns. So if you have local elections, those people are on the ballot. School board elections are now something that we take care of, and really we have to make sure that everybody's name is spelled properly and that we've got them in the right spots. And the other thing that we do, which I think is pretty interesting, is that we pick out the names out of a box. An old hat box from like the 1700s that we have, and we pick the names out, so we pick the positions of people who are on the ballot. We mail those ballots out to people. We do the mail-in ballots. We also do election recording. So we're responsible for tabulating all of the election results on election night, which is pretty exciting. And the office is open late to do that, and members of the public and people are always invited to come in and watch the process.
Now, when we talk about elections, there is also the opportunity for people for the primary election and for the general elections to come in and vote early in person.
Yes.
How does that work?
Anyone who's registered to vote can come in 45 days before election right to our office and vote in our office. And they would get a written ballot, they would put the information in, and then those ballots are secured in a locked box.
And so there's really no reason why a person should not be able to vote. I mean, years ago there used to be excuses why you couldn't get to the polls, but
truthfully,
today
between the mail-in ballots, and you really don't have to have a reason anymore why you can't get to the physical polling place, and then being able to walk in. If you're going on vacation, you can come right to our office and vote beforehand, or on a business trip. We've made it really easy for people to be able to vote and exercise that privilege.
Now, I mentioned that another area of your responsibility is passport applications, and the county clerk's office is open Monday through Friday from 8 to 4:30 for passport applications. The office did have expanded hours Wednesday nights until 8. One of your initiatives was to add a night, so you're now open Tuesday
That's correct.
and Wednesday nights for
Yes.
passports until 8 o'clock. Why the extra night?
Well, I found that if you work till 5 o'clock, most people at least work till 5 o'clock, by the time they got home and pick up their family and get to our office would not be able to service the community. And our office is about providing services to the county. Interestingly, though, in passports, anyone from any county can come to our passport office to get a passport. But we needed the extended hours or more than one night because we wanted to make sure that people who work and who are busy during the day have an opportunity to get to our office so that they can re-up their passports or apply for a new passport.
Yeah. And another initiative when it comes to passports is that you're now offering people the opportunity to make an appointment.
Yes.
Walk-ins are still welcome, but
Yes.
they can now make an appointment. Are people taking advantage of that
Yes,
convenience?
we're having great success with that because when you come in and you have an appointment, I'm trying to service people that are actually limited in their time. So if they know that they have an appointment and they get there on time, they know that they'll be out in a certain period of time. So if you come on your lunch hour, you can actually come on your lunch hour and get your passport papers done in that amount of time.
Generally speaking, from the time a person makes the application to your office to the time the State Department actually sends the passport to the individual, are we talking weeks?
Yeah, it's 4 to 6 weeks for a regular processing time,
Okay.
and it's 2 to 3 weeks if you want an expedited process.
Okay.
So,
Now, the Office of the County Clerk is also a repository for a number of public records. A lot of them deal with property. Give us some examples of some of those documents that are on file in the county clerk's office.
Well, the county clerk's office, from its very establishment, was always in charge of recording documents. And the term clerk is not like a clerk typist. It comes from the word cleric because it used to be your religious orders, your clergy that used to be able to, that knew how to write. And they were the first persons to record documents and record births and important historical information. And basically we still are doing the same thing that we did back in the 1700s. We record deeds and mortgages, cancellations, any kind of lis pendens, assignments of mortgages. So anything that deals with property gets recorded in our office.
Now, another one of the initiatives that the office has undertaken of late is allowing for the electronic recording of certain documents.
Yes.
How does that work?
Well, an individual themselves cannot actually record a document that way. It usually goes through a law firm or a title company, and the title company engages the service of like there's a middleman involved, and they send their packages through that company, and that company gets the package and processes it over the internet electronically to our office. So that's basically how it works. But there's just been some new rules, and in the next 5 years, we're definitely going to have every document allowed to be processed electronically. Not that people can't walk in and or mail things in; they'll still be allowed to do that. But all of the documents will be available through electronic processing.
And we should mention that in just another couple of minutes, we're going to give you contact information for the Office of the County Clerk, including the County Clerk's website. And once you access the website, you'll be able to find out information about not only what we've been discussing now, but about all of the other functions and responsibilities of the Office of the County Clerk. Photo ID cards are something that the county clerk's office issued.
Right.
Who would be using a photo ID?
Anyone can use a photo ID, but we find that a lot of our elderly population who no longer drive, don't have a driver's license, they would want a county ID because it's a legitimate government identification. It's accepted everywhere. And we also do veterans IDs, which I think are very important because the veteran IDs are free of charge. And what they do, when a veteran wants to come in for the veteran ID, we take a picture, he gets a little card, it says everything. But we record their DD-214s, their discharge papers, and their discharge papers then stay permanently, it's a permanent government record. It's in addition to whatever permanent record the federal government has, and it's accepted as a valid government record. So it preserves those records for the veteran and also for their family members. And it has the same privacy security that they have with any other organization where they would record their documents.
And one of the things I know that you've also started to do of late is to actually go out to various veterans organizations, VFWs,
Yes.
American Legions, so that the veteran doesn't have to come
No.
into Morristown.
Right. And that's been one of my priorities, is to get things out on the road and service the public through a mobile unit, basically. And yes, we started in November for Veterans Day, and we're going to do that every year. But if any veteran organization would like us to come out, all they need to do is give us a call, and we'd be happy to do it. We finally have all the equipment necessary to be able to do it out mobily. Yeah.
Now we've talked about some of the initiatives. Is there anything that maybe I have not asked you about that you would like the public to know about?
Yeah, well, in addition to the expanded hours for the passports, I was very interested in bringing our office electronically into this century here, technologically wise. And one of the biggest things that we've done, besides redoing our website so that it's easy and you have easy access to all the information, we've brought technology into counting the ballots, tabulating the voting results. So what happened, people don't understand, we have 39 towns, we send couriers out to all the 39 towns. They get to the clerk's office in the local municipality where all of the voting cartridges go after you finish voting, and we take them back and then we put the cartridge in a reader. Now, it used to be tabulated and we'd get a sheet of paper out. Now it's tabulated, the reader reads the information, it automatically goes up on the website. So as we are getting it, the public is getting it. And and you can take your cursor and put it over the map in the county, and you can get the results up, even down to the county committee now, which you could never get before from the county. So it's really a very advanced way to tabulate election results, and I'm really excited about that. And I've also reorganized the office. I've reorganized how I've consolidated departments, and I've done that for efficiency purposes. And I've also, I'm realigning, actually right now we're realigning how documents are processed in the office. We have reorganized the map and vault room. The vault room, for anyone who doesn't know, it's open to the public. It has every mortgage and deed and all of our documents in there. And we've reorganized that as well.
And if someone would like additional information about either some of the things that we've just discussed or some of the areas that we were not able to get to regarding the responsibilities of the county clerk, why don't you access the Morris County Clerk's website, which we told you about. It is morriscountyclerk.org. You can also email the county clerk's office for additional information, and that is cc@co.morris.nj.us. And of course, you can always give the office a call at 973-285-6120. Ann Grossi, Morris County Clerk, thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you, it's my pleasure.
Now, if you have a question about county government, you can call the Morris County Freeholders Office, 973-285-6010. Don't forget to visit the county government's website, morriscountynj.gov. Once you're there, you can access all of the various social media that county government embraces. I'm Joe Garifo. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Are you pregnant, scared, or a new mother who can't care for your newborn?
There's a safe haven in New Jersey.
You or a friend can bring an infant to any hospital or police station and give up custody safely, legally, and anonymously.
No questions asked. No shame, no blame, no names.
Call 1-877-839-2339 or visit njsafehaven.org to learn more. Remember,
New Jersey has a safe haven for unwanted infants.
Brought to you by the New Jersey Department of Children and Families.
Welcome back to Focus on Morris County. I'm Joe Garifo. And on this segment of the program, we are going to learn a bit about the Morris County Prosecutor's Office. I'm pleased to be joined by Morris County Prosecutor Fredric Knapp. Prosecutor Knapp was sworn in as Morris County Prosecutor in July of this year after having been nominated to that position by Governor Chris Christie. Prosecutor Knapp, welcome to the program.
Good morning. Good morning, Joe.
Thank you for joining us. Before we start to talk about the office itself, can you just give us a little overview about yourself, your background, and maybe your
Sure.
career prior to becoming prosecutor?
Sure, I'd be glad to. Grew up in Irvington, New Jersey. I've been a lifelong resident of the state. Other than 4 years of college and 3 years of law school, I've spent my whole life here. Met my wife in high school, and we've been married for 38 years this year. Since I've graduated from law school, I worked for almost 5 years with the Attorney General's office at the Division of Criminal Justice, handling prosecutions in various parts of the state, throughout the state. I also spent almost 2.5 years with the United States Department of Justice Organized Crime and Racketeering Section. After that, I was in private practice for almost 30 years, primarily handling labor and employment law and related litigation. I represented many municipalities. I also represented the County of Morris, County of Sussex, and other administrative, or rather other public bodies, primarily as labor and employment counsel.
When we look at the prosecutor's office itself, give us an idea as to what that office's role is in law enforcement.
Well, the prosecutor is the chief law enforcement officer of the county. As such, we have responsibility to oversee and investigate all activities that are what are called directives. In other words, there are certain types of offenses that municipal police officers must contact the prosecutor's office to handle. There's a whole litany of them. I won't go into it in great detail, other than we don't get involved in non-indictable offenses. Municipal court matters are handled by the local law enforcement agencies. But anything that must be heard in Superior Court, which is what we would call an indictable offense, comes to the prosecutor's office.
The makeup of the prosecutor's office in Morris County, for example, assistant prosecutors, staff, some of their responsibilities. Right. What can you tell us about that?
Well, we have approximately 37 assistant prosecutors. The reason I say that is because we recently had one of our APs announced that he would be leaving to go to another agency. So we are looking to fill that position. So it's an approximate number, but generally approximately 37 attorneys who work in the office. Approximately 12 of them are supervising assistant prosecutors, which includes the first assistant. It includes the executive assistant prosecutor and other units that are supervised by APs. We also have 70 detectives currently. We're almost at full capacity. They are under the command of Chief of Investigations John Spears. And I know you know Chief Spears.
Yes, yes.
In addition to those positions, we currently have 8 prosecutors agents, and we have approximately 30 support staff.
Now, within the prosecutor's office, there are a number of units, divisions, and really probably far too many to mention on the program. But I want to go into a couple of them. One in particular, a professional standards unit. Whose professional standards does this unit monitor, and why?
Well, first, let me just take a step back.
Sure.
There's 4 divisions within the office.
Okay.
Courts and Administrative Division, which is the largest in terms of attorneys and staff, which handles most of the trials that go on in the courts. We have Special Operations, which includes narcotics, fugitive, intelligence, and high-tech crime. Tactical Division, which includes the homicide, cold case, vehicular homicide, arson, environmental, sex crimes, and Megan's Law, and lastly, the Specialized Crime Division, which includes professional standards. And a specialized crime also includes domestic violence, financial crime, juvenile and missing persons. In terms of the Professional Standards Unit, what we're monitoring is, pursuant to the Attorney General guidelines on internal affairs, all law enforcement personnel are subject to certain requirements in terms of general conduct and behavior that they must abide by. The prosecutor's office will ensure that everyone in the county is in compliance with those standards. So that is involving law enforcement personnel. But in terms of professional standards, we may have occasion to get involved in matters involving public officials. Any allegations of official corruption would come to that unit, Professional Standards Unit.
Obviously, every crime victim has his or her life changed, and I know that each victim is supported by everyone in your office. But there are, for lack of a better term, maybe special victims that the Office of Sex Crimes, Child Endangerment Unit comes in contact with. How crucial is it that these victims are treated properly and that their cases are aggressively pursued?
It's extremely important, Joe, and we have 4 full-time victim witness staff who are extremely professional, who deal with the victims of crime and survivors on an as-needed basis. We try to assist them in any way. It's a partially grant-funded program, but we have a great need to support the needs of our victims of crime, particularly the children in the sex crimes and child endangerment area. In particular, we also work with Deirdre's House, and I'm sure you remember former freeholder Jim O'Brien and his wife were the founders, if you will, of Deirdre's House, which deals with children of sex crime and endangerment, and which is adjacent to the courthouse. So we work together very closely with them.
The office of late has been targeting, as I understand it, gangs and gang violence. Is this a serious problem in Morris County, Fred?
Well, let me just take a step back in terms of targeting. What we attempted to do was to handle violent crime, and we set out a particular initiative in areas of the county where we thought it was most needed. And as a result of that, we had numerous arrests. Some of the individuals had gang affiliation. This is a national problem. It's not just Morris County, it's a national problem throughout the state of New Jersey. We are fortunate in Morris County that it is not as prevalent as it might be in others. I was with the sheriff from Mercer County yesterday. We had a discussion concerning gang violence, which is an extremely serious problem in his county. And fortunately, we're not at that level, but we have to remain vigilant. So that's why we've taken the initiatives that we have to ensure that it is, to the extent we can control it.
Well, if someone were to ask you, are gangs present in Morris County, how would you respond to that?
I would answer yes.
Okay. The prosecutor's office also has a very active community outreach program. Tell us a little bit about that and why it is that you think community outreach, getting out into the community, is important.
We do a lot of education work with schools concerning crime prevention. As you know, the heroin and opiate problem is at an epidemic rate throughout the state because of the purity of heroin. What we've sought to do is to work with schools and to work with other organizations to educate them concerning the problem. As recently, you may remember, there was a Do No Harm symposium at Morristown Hospital, which we participated in along with the United States Attorney, which dealt mainly with education of healthcare professionals who are prescribing opiates for legitimate purposes. The problem is that the drugs fall into the hands of children who then abuse them, unfortunately. And the cycle becomes addiction to the opiates, and then when the opiates, the prescription drugs run out, they then turn to heroin. So this is the problem we're attempting to deal with. In terms of community relations, our goal is to educate students, educate the parents to the extent that we can, and healthcare professionals to try to end the cycle. It's an ongoing battle, as I'm sure you know.
Something that I guess can be connected to these efforts is a program that the prosecutor's office participates in from time to time, known as Operation Take Back.
Yes.
It encourages people to return unused or expired prescription drugs for proper disposal.
Right.
Again, is this a part of your outreach efforts?
We've worked since I've become the prosecutor. We've had, I believe, 4 different times when we've had the programs. They're done twice a year. Mm-hmm. This is also supported by the Drug Enforcement Agency of the federal government. There are sites throughout the county where people are asked to turn in unused medication. It doesn't have to be prescription medication. It can be any type, so that it is taken out of the hands of those who might abuse it. That would also include any type of prescription drugs, you name it. And the last time that we had the program, which was a few weeks ago, I think we netted over 600 pounds of drugs.
Prosecutor Fred Knapp, I want to thank you very much for being with us today. I know we've only just scratched the surface, so to speak, of the many activities and programs that the prosecutor's office is involved with. But I'd like to give some contact information for your office if someone has any additional questions about anything that the prosecutor's office is involved with. You can reach the prosecutor's office here in Morris County at 973-285-6200. You can also email the prosecutor's office at prosecutor@co.morris.nj.us. And the prosecutor's office has an extensive website as well if you want to find out what's going on in Morris County, and in particular in the Morris County Prosecutor's Office. Just go online, morrisprosecutor.org. Now, if you have a question about Morris County government that you would like to have answered, you can call the Morris County Freeholders Office at 973-285-6010. You can also visit the county government website at morriscountynj.gov. Once you're there, sign up for the county's electronic newsletter, Morris County Connections, and also please take advantage of the many social networking sites that Morris County government embraces. They include Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Scribd, and Flickr. I'm Joe Garifo. Thank you very much for being with us. I'd like to invite you to tune in again next week at this time for another edition of Focus on Morris County.